My name is Macky Alston. My given name is Wallace McPherson Alston III. I live in New York City, but I was born in Alabama. My parents are both from Georgia. The first time I learned that my family, my ancestors were enslavers, I guess I was a child. It was the time of civil rights. My parents were civil rights advocates. My mom is an educator, my dad is a preacher. We lived at that time in Durham, North Carolina. And I was in a public school that was predominantly black students. And many of them, like a lot of them, had the same last name as me. And what was meaningful to me, really clear, was that in that shared name was the whole truth, and we weren't allowed to talk about it. So it was the height of the Black Power movement. On the blacktop, we would sing chants, black and white kids, like, well, we would be doing Ring Around the Rosie, and then the black kids would say, okay, the white kids would step out and they would sing, black is beautiful, black is sweet, black is something the whites can't beat. And then they would say, come on back. And so there was race consciousness everywhere, but not historic, not the roots. So what am I going to do about it? Or what have I done about it? When I came out as gay, my parents had told me that if I tell grandparents down south, because we were living up north at the time, that it would kill them. And after a while, I told them it wasn't lethal, and yet I lost a lot of time with them because I was afraid that I was lethal, or the truth was lethal about me. After I came out, I began to think, what are the other secrets that I have been taught would be lethal to live in the light of? And being the descendant of enslavers was one of them, was the first one. And so I began to do different kinds of work in storytelling, in truth-telling, very publicly through film. And so the first film I made was called Family Name. And it was gathering black and white Alstons to have the conversations that all of us were socialized not to have together. Now I'm making another film called Acts of Reparation. And with my filmmaking partner, Selena Lewis Davidson, who's black and of Cherokee heritage, we're addressing not how do you talk about it, though that's a piece, but what do you do about it? How do we redress historic harm? What possibilities are there for healing? And she's addressing it personally for herself as a black woman in the United States, particularly in her historic community of Monroe, Louisiana. And I'm doing it in my historic community of Penfield, Georgia. I inherited the family plantation with my 2 sisters and 3 first cousins. And when our cousins bought us out, I gave my portion as an act of reparation to a black-led organization down south called Southerners on New Ground. And they said, this is a great start. Go find other folk. We invite you or encourage you to find other folk who might come into the work through this avenue of wanting to make right the wrongs of your ancestors and also address the inequities that you benefit from that are rooted in that history. And so I've been doing a lot of that too, a lot of organizing with descendants of enslavers. I'm thrilled to be a part of this conversation, and thanks for listening.